learned that Poison Rain is actually somewhat of a, like, expert in ghosts, and we didn't even address that. So she's here
Okay.
this week to tell us more about ghosts.
Poison Rain.
Because ghost lore is pretty friggin' sweet.
Oh, quiet.
There's a lot about it in a lot of different cultures and origins and stuff. So I guess let's start off with, what did we not cover last week, Poison? Or how about this? How badly did we fuck up our description of Ouija boards? We'll start with that.
Not talk about the Ouija boards.
Why not?
I mean, you didn't fuck it up, but have you guys ever actually used Ouija boards?
No.
Oh, that explains a lot. Okay.
All right, Mistress of the Dark, tell us.
How Ouija board work?
I told you last time that you basically sacrifice your life energy to become a conduit for the ghosts so that they can possess the movement of the board.
So you offer up your life energy so that ghosts can use it to move your stuff and have messages.
Yeah, basically.
Cool.
How many times do they misspell words?
A lot.
Interesting.
Because it's interesting, because like they're channeling that. This person ate 4 Oreos. I am proud of you.
Hey, Oreozilla.
Yeah.
How's it going?
But why did you stop at just 4? That's a discussion for a different day. Those aren't Oreos. They're
What are those? Oh. Frickin' A.
I'm just saying, they're at my disposal whenever I want them.
And like, Milk's favorite cookie. Awesome.
Yes, because it's the Oreo's ghost.
yeah. Oreos are known to be haunted by ghosts whispering Milk's favorite cookie.
The cream fillings is actually just ectoplasm.
It is. That's why it's so addictive. You're really just eating like
residual
gooey,
life energy.
Like essence. It's great.
Who doesn't love that?
I don't know. Necromancers?
I think they would enjoy
Yeah,
it
they
the
probably
most.
would. You're not wrong.
They probably just throw away the cookie though, like savages.
Savages.
And then they have that floppy cream center when they get rid of the cookie, and it's like really awkward because then it starts melting in your hands.
Oreo, you're not allowed to talk anymore.
No, I understand. Yeah, I don't like dark chocolate either.
You're also not allowed to talk anymore.
It's a talk show.
Yeah, mate.
You'll have to learn sign language
That's
right away.
true. And then you can.
It has to be special, okay? It's got to have caramel or something else. Like those things that are just by themselves, like freaking 89% cocoa. I don't know, man. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's so good.
All right, it's whatever.
So, anyways, but yeah. So, like, I don't know.
So when you give, what is giving up your life essence?
It's really just becoming like a lightning rod.
Okay, so you just
It just sounds more dramatic if you say you're giving up your life essence, but really it's just you are allowing forces beyond your understanding to channel into your body. It's great.
So
Okay.
basically you're just giving up and being like, all right, someone else take control.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it just ghosts?
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh no. You hope it's just ghosts. You hope it's just ghosts.
Of crafting things existing in spirit form? I don't know about that, Oreo, but that sounds interesting.
I mean, what is spirit form but just another plane of existence beyond our understanding?
I mean, there you go.
It's totally Lovecraftian. So yes.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I'm not gonna jump on the Lovecraft train. Yeah.
That's a different episode.
That's a different episode.
That's hashtag Cthulhu things.
That's hashtag Cthulhu problems. That's exactly what
Yeah.
it is. So, I don't know. Like,
So what else do we have to watch out for if not ghosts?
That's true with the Ouija board.
So if not ghosts, there are like lesser demons that can come through there. There's a lot of people believe that by using the Ouija board, you can create a portal that doesn't necessarily always close back up, that allows negative energy, demonic energy, not great ghosts that can then go through it. Yes, the supernatural and science do go hand in hand, Oreozilla. You're right.
Okay, so my question is, say you have a problem with somebody. Can you go over to their house, activate a Ouija board with negative energy, and then leave the house, or does it follow you, the one who created it?
There are some beings that stick to that spot, and they're more tied to that place than anything else. And then there are like the not great things that follow you around.
Because I feel like that would be a cool thing in a video game, that you bring around a Ouija board and it's basically like a landmine that you set up in a place and it just feeds bad energy.
So here's the thing about Ouija boards. You need more than one person to do it. So you would have to have an accomplice.
Gotcha. Now, is the more people effective, or is 2 enough? Like, what's the deal there?
2's enough. I've done it. 6 is too many.
It's just impossible. Unless you have like, what if you get like a big Ouija board? Like it's like a wooden floor. Like, I feel like it's a bad idea in the first place. Forget what I said. It's a bad idea. Let's not make a 6 foot by 6 foot Ouija board. That's a bad idea.
I feel like that's going to create some problems.
Where it turns into basically Twister, but except it's a giant Ouija board.
Oh my god, it's like The Exorcist. Just like.
Oh my gosh.
So we're just going to create a horror video game now based on this conversation.
Yay.
We'll do it on the
Ouija
creative
board
stream.
bombs, Exorcist Twister. It's great.
Yeah, it'd be great. I was,
You're just stuck in like a children's game store that's possessed.
Guys,
that's what's happening.
I'm not gonna lie. When we were talking about the Ouija board, like landmine, I was absolutely thinking about Blades in the Dark.
Oh, holy shit! Yeah.
You could totally make like a ghost bomb in that.
Yeah. That's a tabletop game that we play on the weekends, and it's basically like Dishonored and Ocean's 11 together, where you're doing your current heist, whatever battle, but then you go back in time and show all the prep for it. It's fucking awesome.
It is really cool. It's super cool. Also, the setting is like expansive and like deep and involved. It's super cool. I won't get all into it. I'll contain myself.
You're not speaking like the devil's tongue or something, are you, Oyo?
I think he's trying to like speak in tongues or type in tongues. I don't know. Maybe that's a thing.
Can you type in tongues? Like,
I mean, like maybe.
are the dark forces digitized?
I mean,
do they accept was it CAPTCHA art?
CAPTCHA art. I mean,
so
that'd be interesting.
There are like theories out there that ghosts and technology, there's theories that they just don't mix, and then there are other theories that technology is like the best conduit for ghosts ever. Because they're just energy.
Right.
So they can interact with these things that are meant to conduct energy. So in theory, yes, you could type in tongues.
Oh, it's Let's Play Twister backwards.
Oh. I mean, that's fair.
Awesome.
I see it now.
Yes, I do as well. I don't actually have my glasses on, so it's a little bit hard to make out characters, but knowing that that's the case, I can tell.
You got us, Oreo.
Good job.
Good job.
So anyways. So, I don't know. I kind of dig this idea that there's like the ghost in the machine, right?
Ha.
So anyways, But like no, so like that's super cool actually. This idea. Like what if how's this? What if internet trolls are actually just ghosts? Like
Wow.
nobody's actually that big an asshole. It's just, spirits hanging out in the interwebs and like fucking with
dicks.
people.
I mean, you've got something there because normally,
Right?
yeah, because normally if you're a poltergeist, you knock things over. But if you want to get with the times, you go on and you make fun of someone on the internet. That's very interesting.
Just pop into somebody's stream. Just pop into somebody's stream. Dick balls. Cock. Bag it, and then like just kick them out, and then it's like, oh damn, they exercised me. So much easier now. There's just a button.
It's true.
Man, I'm not gonna get on the like fuck those guys like.
No, yeah.
Weird worry, y'all. Now I'm just gonna read everything backwards.
I know. It is funny once you start noticing patterns like that. Oreo.
There you go. That's the way to get around everything. Just type everything
Keep stuff
backwards.
all backwards.
There you go. Awesome.
Nobody will know.
Sweet.
Then there's like someone who plays puzzle games all the time, and they like point it out right away.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Shit. Those guys ruin everything. What were we talking about?
Ghosts.
Ghosts, yeah.
How they were machines
And machines, and then we turned into how they could be trolls all along.
Yeah.
This sounds
Troll.
like I'm glad you're enjoying it, Oreo.
Awesome.
For real. Man. I don't know. So last week, Ving and I were trying to like categorize ghosts. Is that valid or is that not valid?
Yes, it's valid.
Okay, cool.
It's a valid thing.
Cool.
It gets tricky because like there are some that don't always fit the exact molds, and then you're like, but like
Like the ring.
they're yeah, like that. I mean, there are like shadow people, there are poltergeists, there are the spirits that are just in like repeat, there are malicious spirits, there culturally are so many different kinds of.
Okay, shadow people. That's the first time I've heard that. What is that?
Haven't heard of the shadow people?
No.
Aren't they just like the
They're-
shadowy figure ghosts?
Yeah, they're like the big, black, scary shadow ghosts that usually come with like intense feelings of dread or despair. They tend to show up in areas where like the person that's in the living in the possessed area, they tend to get emotionally drained. Because the shadow people are feeding on that in order to materialize, but they only ever look like
Big black shadows.
big black shadows. Yeah, that.
Interesting.
I lived in a haunted house. It was great.
Not succubi and incubi, Oreozilla. That's
Those
a
are-
different thing.
Those are demons.
They're
Yeah, those are demons, yeah.
They feed on sex energy. It's different.
No, shadow people.
That's different.
Dark is in the absence of light. Here we go. Anywho.
But yeah, man. Like shadow people.
So like, if are they the ones that are like common, like you see something out of the corner of your eye but you're not sure what it is? Is that most likely a shadow person, or could that literally be?
That could literally be anything.
Yeah.
Shadow people, it's like you without a doubt see that dark figure standing there.
Interesting.
And they're not always perfectly human shaped. Sometimes they're just like blobs, shadows, even.
Cool.
But yeah, if you see them, it's never a good thing. It's never a good spirit. They are without a doubt, because they're kind of like parasites. They're feeding off of your emotional well-being.
Gotcha.
and then by creating that negative environment, it just feeds them more. It's really not a good thing to be in.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What other ghosts are there?
I mean, you guys talked about poltergeists a lot.
Like poltergeists.
You wish you could have contact with spirits, or Zilla? That's, yeah,
I
that'd be
mean,
cool, but also a can of worms.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be great. Other times,
It's
I
kind of
mean-
like when you get the talk from your parents, right?
Right.
Where you think the world is simple, and all of a sudden, you learn that your lower parts are meant for something completely different. It's kind of like that. Like the whole world that you once knew is probably going to change.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So, okay, so that's actually interesting. Yeah, like things like Charlie Charlie or Bloody Mary or any of those things. Cuz they're it's almost like they're urban legends that fuel myth. Like what is there any validity to those things, or is it at this point just a teenager scare tactic?
I mean, I did Bloody Mary and nothing happened. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I have as well, just to be a badass, right?
Yeah.
So,
I said Bloody Mary, guys, 3 times.
but I mean, like, there's like this notion that that believing in a thing gives it like metaphysical power, right? Like the more emotionally involved people are in a thing, the more energy that it can.
Yeah,
that
they
it can
feed into it and almost want to believe it, even though
Right,
they
right.
don't want it to happen at the same time.
Exactly. Like you almost want something to happen so there's some sense of validity to your emotion, but
Mhm.
at the same time, like giving it the emotional energy to do something with is potentially problematic. Now, there's also like this notion that like what if, and like this gets into like a little bit of a speculation thing, right? But like what if there's only one entity out there that would be called Bloody Mary, right?
Yeah.
So there's this one thing, it is Bloody Mary. You call on it and nothing happens, but somebody else calls on it and something does happen, right? Because like it can only be in one place.
Gotcha. So essentially, Bloody Mary needs a call center.
Basically,
Okay.
like a whole bunch of them. Like
Yeah.
a training regimen is needed in order to make sure that there's a Bloody Mary in every bathroom.
Gotcha. Excuse me, you have a message for Bloody Mary? Is this a collect call? No? Oh.
Oh, there we go. You were fuzzy for a second.
Oh, was I
there.
fuzzy? Oh, yeah. Oops.
It's coming back though.
Okay.
You're good.
Well, I am fuzzy anyway because I'm doing that weird thing, but it's fine.
It's called puberty, man.
No. I meant like. No, I meant the resolution of the fact that I'm actually zoomed in the corner of the screen that's like over here on Google Hangouts.
Yeah. It's actually remarkably clear on the stream from what I can see.
Is
So
it?
anyways,
Interesting.
it's not like the same quality as it is when you're just streaming regularly, but it's way better than I think you give it credit for.
Gotcha.
But
Cool.
oh well.
Awesome.
Anyways. So yeah, there's that whole notion of like ghosts and spirits and like otherworldly entities like needing some kind of I don't know, an energy source or a power source with which to call upon in order to do stuff. That's, I don't know. That one's always like tricky for me because then like how do you start, right?
Yeah. Because it's almost like you have to find someone who, and of course, like in all horror movies, right?
Right.
It's the person who believes it that nothing happens to, and the person that doesn't believe it that has something happen to them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
That works. Ooh, I love
But yeah, it's so that's it's it's like a 50-50 chance for Bloody Mary or Beetlejuice or anything like that to really have anything in this world, because really we put a lot of energy into it and we make figments of it ourselves, I guess.
Right, right. Yeah, and like then there's this question about whether or not perception equals reality, right? And then you get into a whole different can of worms about how whether or not ghosts are real, and like actually based on like whether or not the origins of ghosts is like actually centered in like human spiritual remnants, or if they're just constructually built out of like the subconscious human id.
Or are they just windows into different parallel dimensions?
Right. Also equally weird.
Yes.
Those are real.
Alternate dimensions.
Yes.
Right. I don't discredit the multiple universe theory. It's a sound theory.
Awesome. So actually, what? Okay, so what's like your favorite kind of ghost? Like if you were okay, let's go with this. If you were gonna be buddy buddy with a ghost, what kind of ghost would it be?
If I had to be buddy buddy with a ghost, I mean, I think I'd want to be buddy buddies with poltergeists so that we could high five each other.
That would be really awkward because you go for a high five and there'd actually be a sound, even though it looks like nobody else is actually going for it.
It would be like the best party trick ever, but everybody would run away.
So essentially, you would befriend a poltergeist so that you could mess with people.
Yeah. Why else would you befriend a ghost?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean, I guess you're right there.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to figure out like if there's any other reason to either. No, not really.
No, there really isn't. Yeah, when it comes down to it, you befriend a ghost because you want to mess with people.
I'd be like, hey, Tim, move that book over there. It'll scare the fuck out of everyone. Eventually, people would get wise to it and be like, fucking Tim.
Yeah, but Oreozilla, just to like capture that right there, Casper was probably a poltergeist because he could interact with like physical things, and like occasionally he would play fun-loving jokes on people.
I always remember him trying to. There was like a Coca-Cola commercial, like a while back, and he'd try to grab it out of the fridge, and he couldn't. He could like grab it in the fridge, but he couldn't take it out because the door was stopping him.
Yeah.
I always found that funny.
It was pretty good.
Silly Casper, just open the door.
That's something else, Oreozilla.
Again,
Also, do be aware that the succubi, like, they take years off your life.
yeah, you get dead.
Yeah, you get dead. Like, it's not like one of those you both benefit from this situation. Well, maybe short term. Long term, you're gonna die.
It's fun. You don't benefit.
Yeah.
You're just prey.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, so that's interesting.
What's that?
What are we to ghosts?
I mean, like,
Like, from a ghost's perspective, what are we?
Well, to answer that, we would have to really understand what ghosts are, which we don't.
Gotcha.
I mean that's true. But
That was a
assuming
movie preview promo?
what was?
Oh, do you remember the Casper thing I was talking about?
I mean, it might have been, yeah.
Was it a movie promo?
But yeah, is it like a plank of wood looking at a tree? Like, what's the
Like I was once that.
yeah, like what is it like?
I mean, like if I personally imagine that like since ghosts kind of rely upon or not necessarily rely upon, but like if you take into this as consideration this idea that ghosts need people in order to supply them with like a source of energy, they might look at us like I don't know, like you look at a
Like a mosquito looks at an animal?
I was gonna go with like yeah, I mean like that's probably more apt, but I was gonna say like
Interesting.
But it's the same. It's the same metaphor.
Hmm.
I think it depends a little bit on the ghost too,
I mean, that's also true, right?
because like the ones that are just stuck on repeat, do they even notice we're there? Probably not.
True. Yeah. Yeah. The
And
ones
if-
that are stuck. The ones that are stuck on repeat are very interesting ghosts, right?
Right.
Because they're reliving a single moment in time like forever.
Right.
Yeah.
So
There's a movie. I think it's called
Who
The
knows?
Others. That's like actually about that. Like the M Night Shyamalan style twist at the end, even though it wasn't like directed by M Night, was that the protagonists were actually the ghosts, and like the people who are haunting them were living people.
Huh. Interesting.
there you
Huh.
go.
So like, yeah, that was like a weird thing. Like just that there's this notion, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Cool.
But yeah, so like that's to like get into like how ghosts perceive us. Like maybe it's just like that. Like maybe they live in their own little world and they're doing their own thing,
And
and
then we come along and fuck it
we
up.
come along, we fuck it right up.
That's it. Like someone lives in a house prior, they perish, and then someone else comes in. They're like, oh, they're freaking messing up the wallpaper, and what are they doing to the electricity in here? And like they start freaking out and become poltergeists because you're messing with their house.
Messing with their stuff, man. Like stuff's important to some people.
Yeah. Very interesting. Now,
I think so.
you know what? I just realized that we've been, talking about sort of the like ephemeral ghosts, right? But like, aren't there also ghosts that are like trapped within like an object too?
Oh, like the ghosts that are like possessing an object?
Yeah. Because those are things too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what are they generally poltergeists or what are they?
Probably not necessarily poltergeists. It's more like whoever is possessing that had like a really intense attachment to that object, and the emotion that they left behind is what's possessing that thing.
So it's not a full ghost. It's
Well, but maybe it is. So if it was their most cherished thing in the world and they clung to that, it might be strong enough that it's basically a ghost.
oh, I just realized something. I didn't change the title of the stream at all.
Oh, you meant on Twitch.
Yeah. It's yeah, we're under Fallout 3 right now. Great. Or Fallout New Vegas. Awesome.
Yeah, ghosts in the shell.
Right.
There's lots of different like
Oh, you meant on
possessed
Twitch.
dolls.
Yeah. It's yeah, we're
that's
under
me.
Fallout. There we go.
I know.
Possessed dolls are creepy.
Let me change
Yeah.
that.
Um,
That is true. Possessed dolls are creepy.
I'm gonna say if they can make the thing they're possessing move, they're like full blown ghost, bordering into poltergeist territory at that point. But if it's just like you feel an emotion near this object, then it's probably just the lingering emotional state there. But and again, it kind of gets into the well, what are ghosts?
Yeah.
I mean, if we had to like put some kind of label on like what a ghost is, like some kind of definition.
Fuck the man. You be whatever you want, ghost.
We're gonna label the ghosts now.
No.
Triggered. I think the last thing you want is to trigger ghost.
Just flips everything. I'll be whatever I want.
Oh, where's that emote? There's that. Oh no, it's not here. Never mind. Oh, but yeah, like that's a real thing. It's a real concern.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last time about possessing gaming systems.
Yeah, we definitely
Yeah.
did. We talked about that whole thing, and then branched off into this weird like transhumanist topic that I don't think we'll talk about again yet.
Yeah. Nice, Oreo. Uh,
But only when they're not looking.
Right.
Otherwise,
People-
they'll know, and they'll get a priest in there, and
That's
end
the
your
end of
fun.
that.
yeah, that's the only problem, right?
That's not good for anyone.
Oh gosh, Oreo.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, who can say that ghosts have a political agenda? I would imagine that they don't.
Yeah, I would imagine they're much more primal in once, and they don't
Right.
really care about the intricacies of politics or economy or anything like that.
Besides, no politics.
Yeah.
You know that. I don't know. That's. I mean, like, ghosts don't have political affiliations, but be interesting if they did, maybe.
Well, I mean, you can certainly have, like, I mean, say there was the ghost of, like, you know, a friggin', oh gosh, my IRL lore escapes me. The American, so like, say like a general from the American Revolution became a ghost. He'd
Sure.
kind of have a political agenda.
From the American Revolution, you mean like Ulysses S. Grant?
Yeah. Although, isn't that Civil War?
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. My bad. George Washington?
Yeah.
But like, what would that really look like? It might just be like people. You might just like yell at people.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, right. And hey, Lost Fleet. Oh, you've been watching? Okay, cool. Have a good time.
Arrow. Enjoy season 2. It's the best. No spoilers.
Oh, cool.
I've seen most of it, so I'm not worried.
Yeah.
I just won't say anything more than that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Anyways, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, well, okay, so we asked this question of each other last time, like what experiences have you had with like ghosts and stuff? So
That's true. If you're comfortable sharing your stories, I've heard them before.
Oreo, no politics, none.
Yeah, don't do it.
Also, I feel like George Washington would just haunt everybody.
Right, there's a whole nationwide haunting that's gonna start any minute now.
Any minute now.
With his wooden teeth chattering in your ears.
Oh my god, so good. It's like little castanets.
Wooden teeth castanets. It's the best.
Oh my god, yeah. Now I hope it happens. Everyone would just eat
Cherry
that
trees
salty
around
thing.
the nation fall down. And there's a little note at the base of every tree that just says, "I'm sorry."
Oh my gosh.
Everyone, I bet there'd be a lot less lying.
That's true.
Because you just
'Cause
like
you
get
just-
in your ear.
Yeah, just chattering every time you're starting to like say a lie.
Yes.
You'd either have to get really, really good at ignoring it in order to keep lying, or just stop lying to make it stop.
That's interesting. So, is there such a thing as a mass haunting?
I don't think on that level.
I don't think I heard of like an entire country being
So
haunted.
there's like
What are,
the
like-
Amityville Horror, the actual thing, not the movie.
Well, thanks. I'm not funny even a little bit. Thank you.
George is watching. This is gonna be like the new saying of my life. George is watching.
George is watching. Awesome.
I'll never be able to lie again.
Right.
Yeah, ghost apocalypse, right? Yeah, like that'd be crazy.
Yeah. Ugh, weird.
Yeah, that would be really weird. But like, as they're like, I guess,
Yeah.
you know, normally, like, when I think of like big haunting incidences, it's usually like confined to a house or property, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it really
Oh.
doesn't go beyond like,
Well, think about how much power that would take to do anything more.
Right.
That's like Cthulhu level.
that is,
I mean-
yeah, that is getting in the Cthulhu territory.
Isn't there, like,
Or necromancers.
I can't remember if I've seen this like on a TV show or not. I'm pretty sure that I have. Some like ghost hunter or paranormal like investigation show. It was like there's this island.
Yeah.
Like it's not a huge island, but it's like you know, like a respectable sized island for like a single house that was haunted. And I don't remember like if that was real or not. Like it might have just been like it might have just been like one of those similarly styled ones, like again like cryptozoological or like creepy like investigation things. It was like this is a weird island, and I'm just like okay, like maybe somebody at some point like
Was that its
suggested.
name?
Weird Island!
Like, I think it's like some kind of like.
That's how you have to
creepy-
introduce it to Weird Island.
I think it was like full of creepy dolls, which might be why I had
Fuck.
the impression that it was haunted.
Dolls really creep me out, guys.
Yeah, that I wouldn't go to that island
Like,
ever.
these were like the worst kind of like maybe haunted dolls too, like the ones that aren't complete, like the semi-broken ones.
Yeah,
They're
there's there was a picture I saw once, and it was costumes that used to be used in Halloween, like during like the early like 1900s, and like this was before they used like rubber masks. Oh, Mcketh, it'll probably be around like 6:30. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. But yeah, so burn the dolls in fire. But yeah, it's before they added those plastic, you know, mass-produced factory masks. And yeah, it was very weird because you know, when they made masks themselves, it was this sort of creepy factor because the masks weren't like symmetrical and they were off sort of, so they didn't get the eyes right. So like they'd try to make like a person's face, but even that was just too creepy.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's sort of handmade / incomplete, you know, replication of a human is always very creepy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Whenever you're talking about like recreating people, unless they're actually living flesh, like human beings, like the reaction to it is just like one step away from squick, no matter who you're talking to. Like it's like it like and I know you two are not gonna like this, but like it's a mannequin. It looks really lifelike. No. Just no.
Just
Like
no.
there are some people who go so far as to like it's like vaguely humanoid and they're like nope. But like you've got like two sides of this like it looks like a person, so it's creepy. There's the side where it's like it looks like it's a person, but it like it's so far removed from looking like a person that it's weird and creepy. Like mannequins that don't have faces, right?
That's not cool.
And then you've also got the side that's like it's just like it's just like a person, but it's like too perfect. Like and the it's too perfect and it's not alive thing like freaks people out too. It's like it should be a person in like the way you're perceiving it,
Yeah.
but it's not. Like it's why it's like really good wax replicas of people are really disturbing to look at.
Yeah.
So like you've got this dual-sided nature of like why people think things that look like people but are not are like really strange.
Mhm.
I don't know. I would find that interesting to like study more. I know you two would hate me forever if I decided to make that a topic of my intellectual involvement.
Yeah, no.
You just got to do that. Fuck off. You can't ever talk to me about this.
But yeah,
Don't ever.
I've seen Resident Evil 7. I know exactly that boss battle you're talking about, Bakura. That shit was crazy. Holy shit. I always shoot the heads off of all the mannequins in Fallout 4.
Right?
Holy shit, though, yeah.
But yeah, so like that's
Weird ass shit.
yeah. I don't know. That's just an interesting thing. Like and like part of it is the part that I don't get is when like stuff deliberately does look kind of like people, but like if it's supposed to be alive or if it like is depicted as though it's alive, it doesn't freak people out as much. Like
Like
uh
animatronics or like.
sort of like I think animatronics like are in that uncanny valley of it's like too human like.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, but like I can only think of like media examples because it's not something feasible in like real life. But like aliens of any variety in TV shows and movies that are like human shaped generally, people
Gotcha.
aren't like looking at that going like that's wrong.
I am.
Well,
Yes.
okay, but like Star Trek, for example, there are obviously people with prosthetics on, right?
Mhm.
Except the prosthesis work in like later Star Trek like series is really good. It is almost impossible to tell like that they would not be a person, except that you know it's just an actor. And like I think that's the part that like cues the like it's not actually weird
You
because
know
you're like
there's
it's
a
just a
human under
person in
there.
there. But then you get into things like
That's why it freaks kids out.
right.
Kids don't have that like
That's true. That
that
understanding.
world
Yeah,
knowledge of that's just somebody under that suit.
yeah,
Which
and,
is
like,
why they go, ah,
right.
and then I go,
And
stop.
Bakura's onto something too. He says Gen 3 synths. Like they're just like people.
Yeah.
hi, Booker.
They're just like people. But they're not people. And like regardless of whether or not they're like actually violent towards human beings or not, is enough to make everybody hate them.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's an example of exactly what we're talking about in the game.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
So like
That goes on to like other things though too. Like
right.
what makes humans human?
Right.
How far does that go?
Exactly. And that gets into that transhumanism thing that I mentioned earlier, which we're not going to talk about because it's a whole different stream.
Yeah. I like how it went from how to go see people into how to people be creeped out by other people /
right.
people like things.
Well, right.
It's
And I mean,
basically the same thing.
Yeah,
Right.
it is.
like it kind of relates like strangely in like this weird semi-removed kind of way,
Because yeah,
It's like-
basically ghosts are shadows of people
or visions of people,
or visions
or
of people.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's see, Bakura, you're wrong. They can bleed.
No, breed.
Oh, I misread that. My apologies.
Yeah.
I may need to get my prescription updated.
But yeah, that's interesting.
They don't-
Transhumanism.
Right. It's a cool thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not gonna lie. I want to eventually like do like a role playing game with you guys where it's like deeply steeped in transhumanism and see what you guys do about it. So
That would be pretty cool.
right, like I would like to actually like instead of just being like it's gonna be an action game, be like no, this is a game about like like investigating what it means to be human.
The silence is real with Ving. No, I'm being entertained. That's what it is. No, but yeah, the like this is part 2, and I'm sort of a little bit of a loss for like what more to talk about ghosts, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we could like midstream switch topics if you want.
Yeah, we could do that. All right.
Like, what do you?
I mean, is there anything else you guys want to sort of bring up or anything like that? No?
Ghost-
Ghosts are weird. Okay, cool. Awesome.
No. Ghosts are real.
They're also weird.
Oh,
They are
okay.
weird.
It was all right.
Cool.
Right.
Alright.
And like, yeah, like the only thing that I'll like throw out there about ghosts is like, I don't know. I have this very strange relationship with like, I don't know, like extrasensory beings, ghosts, if you will. They're,
We could totally talk about dragons.
I don't know. I will leave the ghost topic alone. Actually, I don't think there's anything else that I can say that will.
Yeah, the
That
only
will
other thing that I now remember is that there
Yeah.
is this weird phenomena that I'm
Yeah.
aware of where apparently ghosts, small children, and some elderly are apparently more able to see ghosts than most other people.
Yeah, that's legit.
So there's theories as to why that is. Some of it is just that like where the brain is at in those stages lets them use those extrasensory things a little bit more. Um, there's also things that like well once when you're children you don't have this like societal thing that like you're not supposed to believe stuff, so
Hmm.
you don't like shut it out. When you're a child, anything is possible. And
Gotcha.
then as you get older, you start noping the fuck out. And then when you're old, you're just like, I don't care anymore. That's a ghost, whatever. Nothing phases me.
Yeah.
Too old for this shit.
Hard boiled by life.
Jaded beyond reality.
Right.
My cousin had a really interesting thing with a ghost when she was little.
Story time.
In my grandmother's house, which we have established is in fact haunted. No big deal. So
Had an experience in there within like 15 minutes of having entered the house.
It's real. So my cousin lived with my grandparents for a long time. When she was little, she would complain about this other little girl that was in the house that was like always trying to like touch her face and play with her and wanted to take her toys and like was always asking her questions. And like they were like, oh, imaginary friend, until it started getting weird when she would just start crying or screaming. One time the little girl did touch her face and she screamed and cried, and when my grandmother came over, the cheek that she said the girl had touched was ice cold. The rest of my cousin was not. So yeah,
That's pretty freaky.
Yeah.
Holy shit. All right.
I will say this about my experience like with spirits as well. Like I've not had a whole lot of like tactile ex- like encounters with them. Like most of them are just visual. Yeah, the time that I can really recall that I've had like a physical encounter with something was in Poison's grandparents' house.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Ghosties, yes. Well, we're pretty much just finished talking about that, actually.
Right. So Bakura wants us to talk about
Dragons, vampires, or werewolves.
right.
Now, here's the thing. Since... Yep. You say nope, run away, screw this. Yep, exactly.
I had a
I've
ghost
done
say
that a
hi
few
to me
times.
once, and I literally said nope and jumped into bed and threw the covers over my head and said nope, nope, can't do it.
Yeah,
So yes, that is what you do.
that is true.
But
That's 100%.
somebody said something about dragons.
Yep.
Now, dragons is a very interesting topic.
Okay.
And I feel like if we're going to touch on it now, we're probably going to touch on it later.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and just chat about dragons a little bit.
I mean,
Great,
I
I'll be
like
right
dragons.
Sure. All right, so I guess the thing that, of course, is going to be on everybody's mind, just what ghosts want to make friends. Well, I mean,
I mean, it depends.
But do they?
Oh, I see. Dragon.
Dragon.
yes. Now, of course, what everybody's going to first say is, Skyrim dragons aren't real dragons, they're called wyverns. Okay, cool, we got it.
That's
Dragons
true.
are very cool.
Dragons are cool.
But yes, the typical, when you say dragon, has 6 limbs, 4 legs, 2 wings.
Yep.
Unless you're talking about Chinese dragons, which don't have wings.
And that's a very interesting thing too. But they usually have 4 legs.
That is true.
Cool. But yeah, so I just wanted to say that because, of course, everybody's going to bring up Skyrim first. So,
Right?
Great, we got that out of the way.
yeah.
Done.
Done. Good. Awesome.
Cool.
But yeah, it's pretty cool that in different, I think the difference between like a Chinese and Japanese dragon is very cool. I think one is 3-toed and one is 5-toed,
Sounds accurate.
which is pretty awesome. What? Oh, interesting. You say wyverns don't have breath weapons. I guess you're right. I've never known a wyvern to have breath weapons.
Part of me wants to go grab my my monsters manual and see if that's the case with D&D.
They spit venom. I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that wyverns spit venom. Yeah.
Right.
Wyverns being...
They also like to eat elephants.
Dragons or wyverns?
Wyverns.
Oh, I hadn't
Huh.
heard that.
Interesting.
I know things.
But yeah, so that's very cool. But yeah, wyverns are they have 2 legs, 2 wings, and that's the extent of their limbs. Oh, Chinese has 5 toes. Gotcha. Cool. Good to know. Awesome. But yeah, those are interesting dragons because they don't have wings. And I guess related to Pokemon, like Gyarados is based on those dragons. Which is interesting because he's a water flying type.
Right.
And his mega evolution is water dark. I'm like, when are you gonna bring dragon into the mix? But anywho.
Well, I mean, yeah. Really think Gyarados is like pulling a lot of just inspiration from like the Japanese myth about dragons that like koi become them.
Nice, Humphrey. Nice.
Times. Yeah, Dragonology book.
Yeah, that's also good.
That's legit.
Sweet.
Fuzzy again.
Oh, am I fuzzy?
Yeah,
There we go. That's better.
gotcha. We got you. You're getting that. But yeah, like I don't know. I think that's interesting how like that's where they're getting their inspiration from. But ultimately, Gyarados is really still kind of a fish. I know that it has like Dragon Rage and some other like dragon type moves, but
He doesn't have any arms.
right, yeah, no, there's no like limbs.
Yeah,
aside
but
from-
like, oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I've seen dragons that don't have limbs but they fly anyway.
right.
I've seen that too. It's a little bit rarer, I'd say, but those do definitely exist.
right, and then you've got like
But there's the South American dragon
Oh, Quetzalcoatl or whatever it's called.
has feathers.
feathers and wings.
Yeah, that
Little
thing's
dra-
pretty cool. Is that a bipedal wyvern or
No legs.
no legs? Oh, okay, that's winged snake
Literally
beast,
flying.
basically.
Yeah,
Semi-beaked, I think, right?
it depends on which depiction you're looking at, but yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah, and they would be called worms. That's right. That's another thing that's very close.
Although you can also say that like certain like you can also categorize a standard European dragon as being a worm. It's sort of like an age category in some like
Oh, gotcha. So they could be described as being worm-like, by the way, WYRM, or
Exactly.
it could be an age. Interesting.
right. I don't know. I'm looking.
It's
at
called an
that.
amphitheater. Interesting. Cool. But yeah, it's very interesting you mentioned Godzilla, because I have a few figurines, and I'd say there's a few dragon-like kaiju.
Oh yeah,
King
for sure.
Ghidorah.
yeah, absolutely.
He's probably like the craziest wyvern example ever.
right. 3 heads and everything.
3 heads, 2 legs, and wings.
That one does have a breath weapon, lightning.
It does have a breath weapon, yeah. I don't. Okay, Loch Ness Monster is interesting.
Yeah, I'm like I don't think the Loch Ness monster is actually a dragon. Like there's like this there's like this cultural notion that it's like a long lost dinosaur that somehow like lived this long.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, King Ghidorah Space Wyvern, yeah. There's also
But
Destroya, and Destroya, I guess, would be a. I mean, let me get the things since we're
word up,
talking
right?
about them.
I don't know if we can really call Destroy a dragon at all.
It's. I mean, it is weird because if a dragon gets too human-like, are they a dragon?
I
Right.
mean, sure, right? Like that's a question.
Well, then
So
he gets
like,
like
here's
that dragons can turn into people.
here's King Ghidorah, right?
Yup. Yup.
2 wings, 3 heads, and he actually has 2 tails, which is pretty cool.
Totally a wyvern.
Yeah, totally a wyvern. Now, yeah, we start getting into like this is Destroya, and Destroya has actually 2 pairs of wings.
Right.
The second ones are smaller, and arms and legs. But yeah, it's tough to say whether this is a dragon or not.
Well, and I really say that that Destroya isn't a dragon because of its origins, right? Like it was a tiny little microbe.
True.
Like,
Of course,
like
that.
learns how to like become stuff, right?
And then, of course, we can't really call this thing a dragon, can we?
I mean, not very much.
No.
Especially because Gigan is like explicitly an alien.
He's a giant space chicken.
Yeah, exactly. Like the most badass chicken ever, but
I did not see that Humfrit. Super Dragon. Huh. That's true, yeah. Destroyer is a crustacean monster born of the oxygen destroyer. That's very true.
Right. And like ultimately Destroya's like final form, when he's finally powered up all the way, is
Does he
he's-
with this isn't even my final?
yeah, I mean basically he keeps saying that throughout the course of the show. But no, like with the horns and like the red coloration, like the wings, really he ends up being more like a demon.
Interesting, yeah. Now you mentioned that.
Especially because he's bipedal and has arms.
Yeah.
Like that's because it walks upright. It is more like a demon than it is more like a dragon. But like when we're talking about that, also like there's been this parallel throughout history that demons are like dragons or dragons are like demons, and like sometimes they're like used interchangeably, right? So like there's certain religions, and I won't get any further into it than this, that refer to like the devil figure as being the dragon.
Yeah,
And, like,
yeah, it's true.
And like dragons are often in religious lore that like that dragons are like the things that like noble like God-fearing knights go out and slay. Like there's this weird thing about how the two are somewhat related.
Does that mean I have a tiny demon on my shoulder?
I mean, maybe.
Yes.
I don't think that Smaug is particularly demonish, though.
Wow, Smaug is freaking huge.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very interesting. I've heard of a lot of different breath weapons used by dragons.
Right.
I've
Like that Godzilla is just
yeah, he's just like
According to my
slaying out
book.
some stuff. Yeah.
yeah. But no, totally. Yeah, like there's the whole like you breathe out a flammable gas that isn't in like immediately like it isn't immediately ignited into flames, but
Right.
there's something about their physiology, whether it be their mouth, their teeth, or some sort of gland that ignites it, and then that's what the fire is.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's a thing. There's an old movie by Rankin and Bass called Flight of Dragons, and the dragons like eat limestone and like a couple other ingredients, and it makes a gas in their stomachs. It's what lets them fly. But they also use that same gas to like they can like spray it, and like they have a thing called the Thor's thimble, which makes a little spark and causes it to ignite and turns into fire. Which is hilarious because they actually also had the forethought to be like, well, yeah, but you can run out of fire and then you can't fly either because you don't have any lift left.
Huh, interesting.
I thought that was really, like, in retrospect, as an adult, having rewatched it to ruin my childhood, I found that like really really interesting that they did that. Because as a kid I didn't get it, but like as an adult, like I understand the science that's there, and I'm just like, holy shit, that's actually super cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
It didn't ruin my childhood as much as I thought it would.
Nice. But yeah, there's
Wait.
also like, you know, the dragons that shoot like frost breath,
Right.
or they have like some sort of venom, or even like viscous oil that they ignite afterwards.
Yup.
So it's very interesting, the different styles of elemental devastation, I'd call it.
Right. Yeah, that's legit. Yeah, like and like Dungeons and Dragons is a great example of like all the different or like many types of things that like dragons can spew out their mouths. But I think an even better example is the Netflix original like How to Train Your Dragon TV shows, because they showcase almost a new dragon every single episode.
Really interesting.
Great. I love
It's-
it. If you haven't
it's
watched
really
it,
good.
what is wrong with you?
Yeah, if you like dragons and if you have enjoyed the How to Train Your Dragon TV show or like movies, go ahead and watch the ones on Netflix because they're awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. I enjoy all of them. So, but yeah, like that's a thing. Um,
The lightning ones are always interesting, right? I never can explain the lightning one too well.
why not?
I don't know, like I just, is it conductive gas? Like what causes that?
Well, I mean, like so.
Or is it
well,
just elemental magic fury at that point?
right?
Yes.
Like one, they're magic.
Okay.
Done. Oh,
Done.
you did it. But two, we can go ahead and we can apply some crazy science to this, right? Like so electric eels generate their own electricity. Granted, it doesn't like come out like a lightning bolt, right? But
Yeah.
But if it did, we'd be much more afraid of the water.
right. I mean and also
And
like
eels would rule
and,
the world.
and the eels would rule the world.
They're also
let's
one of
also
the
consider
slimiest
there's a lot
creatures
more
on the
dragons.
planet.
That is true. They're doing it right.
Yeah. But let's also consider that there's a lot longer dragon and like so like eels, the way they generate enough electricity is they've got special muscles that
Yeah.
that like I can't remember exactly what they do, but the way they're sequenced in their body allows them to basically turn their entire body into a battery, which they can use to like create a pulse of energy which comes out the front where they have their like discharge points. So assume the discharge point of this dragon is like in its mouth or close enough that you could be confused. And then assume that you have all that extra dragon as opposed to like the length of an eel. And assume that the muscle is approximately like proportionally the same size. You can generate so much more energy in that, like in just the volume of space that you've got.
Yeah.
So you can definitely at least like think of it as being like a like sort of an EMP sort of explosion from the front of the dragon.
Interesting.
But you could also like say that just like you said, they have like it's some kind of like it's a highly conductive fluid or something. They spit it at something, and the lightning just conducts to that liquid, and then travels in an arc to wherever it's going.
Yeah. It's usually from my perspective, it's if you're trying to control electricity, right, it's very tough to do through the air.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's much easier to do
When
it
you
through
have, like,
water, although it hits more people. You're not really targeting someone, you're just area effect, but
Right, no, for sure.
yeah, so. And I guess I could understand necrotic. Just some horrible, awful pestilence dragon who just, I mean, basically, imagine a Komodo dragon burps
Right.
times 100.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily like start to eat your flesh, like just because of like the vapor that it would like produce, but it might make you sick.
I mean, let's put it like Komodo dragons are not venomous.
No, they're not.
They're not. It's
No, I-
because
Bacteria.
yeah, it's because they're bacteria in their mouths.
Yeah, they.
You get bit by those, you would dead.
I mean,
It's basically by blood infection.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is probably like the worst way to go. But it's really interesting because of the way that like Komodos like work, because they bite you, you get a blood infection, and then they're cold blooded. All they have to do is wait.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like they will actually sort of stalk you and watch you die.
Cold and calculating.
Yep.
Like I like my villains.
Isn't that what it's
Awesome.
No, he's a
Oh.
vicious hunter.
about?
But yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
But yeah, like I don't know. I think that's a really cool thing. I like dragons in general. They're super interesting.
They are, yeah, and some can talk, some
Yeah,
can't. Like
right.
like their vast body size is like, well, why can't they have incredible intelligence since their head's like 5 times the size of a human?
I mean, it's got something to do with like how dense their brain is, not necessarily how big their brain is.
But still, it's
Right. No, I absolutely understand
there's a lot
that.
more space to fit brain in.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like I think that's oftentimes a uh like how people like write their dragon fiction, like whether or not they can talk, like because in How to Train Your Dragon,
They don't
like
talk.
they don't talk, but they're obviously smart.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Some of them not so much, but most of them. um but yeah, and then you've got like dragons in like high fantasy, like in The Hobbit, where you've got Smaug, the great worm of the north. He has a full blown, highly educated conversation with Bilbo at at least one point.
And has is greedy. Like they have
Oh
like
yeah,
these like advanced emotions, and all that
oh yeah,
sort
no,
of stuff. Yeah.
absolutely. Basically, a person in a giant dragon's body.
But sometimes smarter
Oh yeah,
because
no,
they've been
for sure.
alive for longer.
Oh, absolutely,
Mhm.
right? Like that experience accounts for something.
Yeah.
Um, but then like you've got like other fantasy series or like novels where like dragons are just like as smart as horses. Like you can train them, and they're good for riding. That's about it. Like you wouldn't consider them to necessarily be like a confidant, even though you might consider them to be your friend, like a dog.
Yeah. And then of course there's the, sort of just predator dragons.
Oh right, yeah, yeah, absolutely,
They just eat everything.
They just
right.
eat it. Yep. Destroy village. Why? Because it's better barbecued.
There's a really bad movie called The Reign of Fire, which is
I feel
about
like
like a
I've
post
seen that before.
probably. Um, it's like a post apocalypse, but the apocalypse wasn't caused by like nuclear bombs or anything. Like people accidentally woke up the dragons, and they
Gotcha.
just rained destruction on everything. Um,
You shouldn't wake up dragons.
no, that's a bad
They're
choice.
really grumpy.
They are. Isn't that right, dragon? Um, but like,
Yes.
but yeah, yeah, those dragons were straight up like just like strictly speaking predators. Like they had no desire to do anything except reduce the world to ash so they could eat it.
Yep.
I mean, it sounds delicious.
It's just how they got their nutrition, even though I don't know why like charred carbon is nutritious.
Listen, carcinogens are delicious. I don't know what you're
Right, Picard. After burning the town.
Hmm.
Weird. Somebody turned down the thermostat.
La 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 la.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, we were talking about like kaiju and stuff. Yeah, they wake him up with like nukes and stuff.
Right. But yeah, so like there's a bunch of stuff to consider with dragons. Like it's such a long history, and it's in like basically every culture from around the world.
Yeah, that is
And
interesting.
like, there's like this notion that dragons for whatever reason enjoy things that are shiny. Typically that takes the place of like things that are valuable. Um,
I mean, don't we all like shiny things?
that is true. That is true. Um,
Hello?
I mean, but like there's fiction about certain dragons where like they don't actually really like care about gold and silver and all that stuff. Like some of them prefer like gems, which is also like a this is wealth and I like it. But some of them are also interested in like gaining knowledge, so they like hoard books and scrolls and like forbidden texts and stuff.
And wizards.
And wizards, like there's actually a type of dragon in Dungeons and Dragons. I think they're brass dragons. They covet conversation.
So they'll just talk you to.
Right. So they'll entrap you and just keep you in their lair so that they can talk to you until you die, because they live so long that the entirety of the rest of your life is really just a momentary conversation.
That's pretty wild.
Right? Like it's not so much like just like passing small talk or whatever, but like this conversation that we have like on a weekly basis, that's like the rest of your whole life to this dragon.
That's pretty wild.
Right? And like it's like the same level of like insight is like gained by this dragon as in like your whole life as we have like within a couple of hours. It's interesting, but ultimately not necessarily like it's a fun pastime. And that's how these dragons like see it.
That's pretty cool.
I think so too. Like I like it a lot. It's an interesting concept that I haven't seen in many places, and I kind of want to at one day put like one of these dragons into a D&D game. I never seem to like find the opportunity.
Well, I mean, it would be a lot of deception and charisma rolls to sort of try to get out of the bronze dragon's conversation to save your life.
Right. I mean, like you could always just promise them other people to talk to.
You could play dead.
They might eat you.
And that's when you stab them in the mouth where they don't have plating and you run away.
But don't dragons hold terrible grudges?
Yeah,
Yep.
Sometimes.
That's why you run really far away.
and hope that it's not worth this dragon's time. It's totally worth their time.
Oh, awesome.
But not so much of it.
You're worth it.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Friggin' A. All right.
The dragons say, most of us fly, stupid.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we'll stop there for the day then, for
right.
the talk show. I feel like dragons is definitely a topic we should come back to at some point,
Yeah,
as part of our cryptozoology and lore sort of deal.
Right.
But
I
yeah.
feel like that's like a whole subcategory of things that we're probably just going to continue to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
Aliens are their own thing, although they could also be cryptozoology.
Yeah, they're interesting, aren't they?
Yep. And like we can have like the Giorgio style aliens, and then we can have the Lovecraft style aliens.
That's true. There are very different varieties. But yeah, so I'm going to switch over to Fault New Vegas and finish off Lonesome Road and do some more exploring. So thank you for joining us, Saber and Poison, and we'll see you guys next week.
But before you fully sign off,
yeah.
Do we want to talk about the like pre-game discussion that we did today? Or
yeah. So yeah, I guess that's good to mention. Yeah. So
just if you want to.
yeah. We are thinking of doing a role-playing game during our talk show, like basically taking up a day to do role-playing games. And I haven't made a document yet for this, but think about if any of you are available during the times between 6 and let's just go from like 6 to 9, just to make it easier.
Sure.
Or maybe we could do like 7 to 10. Anywho, if you're around during those times, just keep that in mind, because we might be considering grabbing a few people from chat for our role-playing games that we might do on Thursdays. So just keep that in mind. I'll make up a document at some point, like a sign-up sheet, and basically come up with, like, are you available during this time or this time, and then people could sort of weigh in on, you know, when they're available.
Right.
So yeah, I thought I'd go mention that.
I mean, that's a good choice. Do we want to mention the games that we've been considering?
Yes. So yeah, the games we're considering are there's a game called No Country for Old Kobolds. If you don't know what a kobold is, it is like the 5 times removed cousin of an impish dragon. They are lizard-like. They still speak basic Draconic, but they are basically the minion character that you're meant to beat the crap out of. Most of the time, it's the first enemy you're going to fight. Maybe skeletons, but yeah.
I don't know, man. Skeletons can be intense sometimes.
Yeah?
Yeah, it depends. It depends.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's alright, Convoy. Maybe next week. But yeah, so No Country for Old Kobolds, it follows the adventure of a very short lifespan. In fact, you don't just make one character, you actually make a family line. Because it's expected that your character's going to die and that someone's going to have to replace you.
More than once.
More than once.
Actually, yeah, dying is actually the level up mechanic within this game. So like when your character dies, you make the next like person in that family's bloodline, and like that becomes your like this leveled up tiny little rat lizard thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like Rogue Legacy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the other one's called Blades in the Dark.
Yeah.
And Blades in the Dark is really cool. It's the way I described it earlier was basically the game Dishonored mixed with Ocean's 11, where you're on a mission. You're either like a bruiser or, like some sort of mercenary or, a straight up thief, or you might even be a little bit into the occult. But you go on these missions to either perform a heist, an assassination, maybe you're just going to rough someone up. But basically, it's in real time, and then basically you spend like points to go back in time to tell the setup for this heist, which is really cool.
Right, via flashbacks. It's not actually time travel within the
Yeah, via flashbacks. So like, in
cool too.
yeah. So like
Yeah.
you open a safe and then you're like, so how are you going to crack the safe? And then you like, all right, so we did this research, and then you go
Right.
like, have a flashback and you do it. But yeah, so then there's that. Was there anything else we were considering?
Oreo. The reason why not Shadowrun, because Shadowrun is very complicated, and is also bullshit. Like the resolution mechanic they have does not fit the fiction that they're trying to create. Like it's not a game that I would ever consider running, ever. I've played it before, and I've played games similar to it. It just doesn't. There's a disconnect there for me that I don't like.
Saber has strong feelings about that.
I have very strong feelings about role playing games in general.
Huh, interesting. But yeah, so those are the two we are considering. Maybe we'll consider another.
Like we talked about maybe doing Microscope. That one might have to like wait until like later and be more of a creative stream rather than like a role playing stream.
Yeah. Because, we could use that, like, we could use a Microscope stream. A Microscope is basically you build up the history and lore of a game.
I mean, yes, that is a way that you can use it as a tool. It is also a standalone game of just like, let's make history, and you explore like different types of history. It's a way to create setting that is either independent of anything else, or because you want to like fill out other stuff. And yes, Oreo. Nerd.
They're nerd, yes.
No.
But yeah, so it's actually a good way to make stuff. So we could even do maybe a D&D game or Apocalypse World based on that.
Right.
Which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd absolutely run 5th edition for the stream. We could do like if people are feeling Dungeons and Dragons, but don't feel like having the the investment to make characters and get like involved in that kind of thing and learn the rules, we can do Dungeon World because it's the same thing.
That's true, yeah.
And with regard to Shadowrun, I actually just got a game called The Sprawl, which is Shadowrun but done in the same system as Dungeon World and Apocalypse World.
Interesting.
So it does the fiction way better. So that's also an option. I need to
Cool.
finish.
But yeah, Convoy, we're just talking about role-playing games that we're planning to do on in the future. When things get organized and when I can find enough people that are available during the time that we stream, and I'll be making up a document of some sort that can, sort of let people sign up, basically. And but yeah, it's basically what the hell was I talking about?
Doing
Yeah, we're just basically talking about the future of Thursday might be a replacement as opposed to the talk show. It might just be the role-playing day. Hey, Elder James. Interesting. But yeah, so I'm going to switch over to Fallout New Vegas. And yeah, we'll complete Lonesome Road and do that stuff. So
cool deal.
thanks for joining us, Saber and Poison.
Yay.
I'm gonna just put on the title screen, and yeah, I will see all you guys in just a little bit. I have to change the title and everything.
Right.
So see you in a little bit.
See you then, Big.